Good morning, friends. Welcome back. I am so happy to see you guys here in the channel again. We are in the garden. My name is Arlene and we are in my urban homestead. Today we're working in the garden. We're going to be picking all the things that we've been planting. We have these tomatoes. Let me show you guys real fast. See these tomatoes? They're just about done. They're just about out of commission. So it's time to harvest everything that's left, pull the plants. And then also over here, right over my right shoulder, all the onions are ready to come out. So I'm super excited, guys. I hope that you're just as excited as me to see how everything turned out and see how we yielded in tomatoes and onions this year. And I'm not done with tomatoes, believe it or not. We're gonna put some other tomatoes in and we're gonna take care of all of that today. So guys, stick with me. We're gonna have a fun day in the garden. So friends, I know these tomatoes for the most part, a lot of them are green, but these trees, or they're like a beautiful orangey color like that, they're not quite ready to go, but see, they're getting eaten up by birds. They're not as protected anymore. The trees are starting to die, so I'll pick these now and they can finish ripening indoors. It is perfectly okay to do that. These guys did not grow like exponentially big, but considering that they are a hybrid tomato, I don't think they did all that terribly. It was a great learning experience with these to make sure that I could actually grow tomatoes in this environment. These guys are beautiful. They're going to be delicious. So a lot of the times what I'll do with this abundance of tomato as they start to ripen is I'll freeze them so I can add them to sauce later. If they're starting to go bad, before they go bad, I'll freeze them. And I can definitely give some away to family and to neighbors. It's not gonna go to waste at all. So friends, I think one of the hardest things as a gardener to do is to accept when your plants, sounds of the city, I'm so sorry. If you heard that, the cars are always zooming by, especially in this neighborhood. Anywho, one of the hardest things as a gardener that I find I struggle with is knowing when your plants are done and just accepting it. Knowing that that's it, it's time to pull it. It's not the I can save it mentality, it's the it's done mentality. And I struggled with that for so many years. And I think that's what's held me back the most is knowing when to say, this plant is not going to give anymore. It doesn't matter what nutrients you give it or how much water you give it. It's done. It has reached its life cycle. Let it go. Start over again. So that's what we're practicing right now. I know that I planted determinate tomatoes and they are determined to die right now. So they've given all they're going to give. And I just have to respect that. Okay, let me see here. Trim, trim, trim. See, there's nothing that this is going to give at this point. Like they are spent. Let me get this spider off of here. If you know me, you know that took a lot for me to do because I'm terrified of spiders. But it is what it is. Not gonna work in a garden and be afraid of things. Oof, it's moving. All right, it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. I know they're super beneficial. Does that make it easier for me to deal with the spiders? Nope. But I do it anyways for the love of the trees. But in all honesty, I think that's the one thing I've struggled the most with all of these years is saying these trees are not sick or they don't need extra water. They're done. Let it go. I used to think they were supposed to last for years and years and years, and that's not the case. And I think we started really realizing it before we ever did any kind of research on how to grow trees, how to garden properly. Before we did anything like that, we started noticing that we would see the farmers in our area pulling everything off of out of ground. As soon as they would harvest tomatoes, boom, they're pulling all the tomato trees. As soon as they would harvest the zucchini, boom, there goes the zucchini trees. I mean, that's when we started putting two and two together and saying, well, wait a minute. We need to stop trying to save everything. It doesn't need saving, it needs pulling. So that's what's brought us to this today. Okay, so now it's time to remove the root balls. Let me pull up. So all I'm gonna do now is fold back this weed fabric just so that I can remove the root balls. And add fresh fertilizer. See, just like that. Okay, got my little friend here, and we're just gonna go in here at the base of these stems and just kind of lift up slightly. We don't want to lose any of our soil because it's still good soil. We just have to add a little bit of food to it. If you have all natural compost that you keep at home, filling that in here would be great. We used all the compost that we did have for our sweet potato bed. So now I'm just gonna fertilize this so that I can, plant some green beans in there. Look at those roots. Those were some healthy roots. It's beautiful. Okay, friends, so I've got my Ryobi cultivator. Oh yeah, super excited about this guy. This has been a super game changer, and I'm going to show you exactly why. And then I'm also using an all-purpose 10-10-10 fertilizer. So about half a cup of that, like half of a red cup, so a whole cup. I'm going to cultivate this whole area, and then I'm going to add the 10-10-10. Yeah, so this little machine makes such easy work of having to break up all of those root balls and everything in there. And I don't want to pull all the roots out because that adds to the composting nature of the soil. You want it to break down in there. So super helpful. I'm just going to spread this in here. I'm still gonna add extra fertilizer once I plant the trees, but for right now, let's just get this going in here. So pellet style fertilizers like that 10-10-10 are a slow release. They will work over a like around 60 to 90 day period. And it's like I said, they're very general purpose. So whatever you need it for in the moment, like kind of right now, I just want to bring some life back to the soil. So I'll add in the 10-10-10. And this is going to work out perfectly for the plant I'm putting back in, because I'm going to place green beans in here. Tomatoes are part of the nightshade family. So you want to put, they're heavy nitrogen eaters. And you just want to put something into the soil after tomatoes that will add nitrogen back into the soil. Now, granted, you can just add a nitrogen feeding fertilizer, totally okay, but you might not yield as good of a crop over time. That was another thing we learned over the years, to kind of learn who goes where when. So when you have something that has fed nitrogen so much, there's no nitrogen in the soil. So the last thing you want to put is something that eats heavy duty nitrogen, because you're not going to have anything to give it. So because the tomatoes have depleted the nitrogen from the soil, we need to put green beans in, because green beans will naturally produce nitrogen and put that back into the soil. So once the green beans are harvested, we can plant something else in here after that that has more nitrogen consuming. So something like an eggplant or a pepper, something like that. But these tomatoes did great. Super excited. Let's move on to the onions. Oh my goodness. Those are the prettiest onions I've ever grown in relation to my hands. Look at that. I have never grown. Oh my goodness. I've never grown onions this big. Look at that. That's so beautiful. So you know an onion is done growing when it bends like that. That bends signifies I'm done. I have given up. Now, not that I've given up, but I've grown as much as I'm going to grow. Now, some of them are tiny, granted, but a lot of these guys are huge. This is so awesome. Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of these guys. Look at that. That's a beautiful onion. And not all of them have bent over, but since a lot of them have, and we're starting to get rains at night, the last thing I want is these guys rotting in here. So we're pulling them. The decision has been made. Friends, I'm blown away. Look at the amount of onions that we harvested and how big they are. They're huge. Look at this. This is the size of my hand. Some of them are small, granted, but these guys will go into like a stir fry or even a stew. Now we just have to get these ready to cure for the next 2 or 3 days. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. You're going to have to pay some serious attention because it's going to be super complicated. Okay, friends, are you ready for this next complicated step? Okay, we're going to put these guys spread out on this table and we're going to leave them here for 2 days. That's it. That's all you got to do. So in order to cure these so they last a really long time, we have to spread these guys out onto this table. And you need to let them dry completely. All this dirt has to dry. That outer paper of the onions has to completely dry. And that's what preserves your onion over time. What will happen is on these stalks that have bent, let me show you really quickly. Find one here that's, okay, so like this one right here, right? This little stalk right in here, this little part of the stalk right there has to dry. So what's gonna happen, it's gonna wilt down being out here for the next 2 or 3 days. This little part of the stalk is gonna wilt down and it's going to seal that onion. And then you can cut it right here and then remove the root end and your onion's ready to store for months. I don't think our onions are gonna last months though. I'm just guessing. This is an onion loving kind of family. So I'm just dusting off some of the excess dirt, nothing fancy, nothing too strenuous. If you had like a dollar store paintbrush, you could do that, but I don't want to get too crazy with it just yet. That dirt can protect a little bit. So I just dust it lightly with my hand. And that's that. And see, sometimes you get these guys that like, I call them twins. Twinning. Okay. I mean, I don't want to pull this one out, but I'm kind of proud of things like this. Look at how big that is. It's beautiful. So friends, the onions curing, that's it. We just need to leave them there for the next like 2, maybe 3 days. After 2 days, we'll check on them. But this guy, this needs some attention ASAP. So I'm gonna pull the plastic and I'm gonna pull all of these weeds real quick. All right, friends, that was a lot of work getting all of those weeds out of there and getting that soil turned up. So now I'm going in with a full red cup, so 16 ounces of 10-10-10. Just because of the sheer size of this box, it's a lot bigger, so we want to feed well. And then I'm going to just use the cultivator and spread that out. All right, friends, so our garden bed is covered. All the weeds have been cleaned up and it's ready to go. In the next 2 days, I'm gonna gauge everything the same way with the onions. We're gonna let them sit and cure for 2 days. And in about 2 days, the tomatoes and the green beans should be just about ready to go into the ground. So we'll take care of all of that at once. Guys, I'm so excited. This is amazing. Stick with me. We're gonna get this whole process taken care of.